Welcome to the IRA RMD previously recorded video. This is Lo Paul, President of Main Street Financial Services. In this 12-minute recording, my guest speaker and colleague, Patrick Jeffers, shared the foundation of the IRA resolution. The IRA RMD resolution features three strategies to provide an income for life, reduce your taxes, and double or perhaps triple your inheritance without ever losing one dime to market conditions. Patrick is a member of the Nexus Group design team. What this means to you is these are the guys who invented fixed index annuities back in the 1990s. The big difference today is they are no longer actuaries who works for insurance companies. They are a product design firm out of Scottsdale, Arizona, who designed the entire product line in this marketplace and then designed the IRA resolution to be better. As a matter of fact, there are 9 patents on this design with 5 others pending. The recording is only 15 minutes long, so pay attention and I will see you later. Patrick, come on aboard.
Well, thanks, Lo. Appreciate the great introduction. Hey, everybody, this is Patrick Jeffers. You know, one of the things I'd like to share with you, something that Lo finds a lot and I find a lot, along with, all of our colleagues around the country, is if you're like many of the people we already serve, you're either retired or about to be retired. And given all of your various assets, probably the number one asset where you might have the most concern is with respect to your qualified plan or your IRA. Now, those qualified plans, what makes a plan qualified, what makes one not qualified, a special kind of dollars. Essentially what that is any type of program, a 401k, an IRA, a 403b, many others, and work with Lo to find out, the qualification of your accounts. But essentially, these are those qualified plan dollars, either self-directed or from an employer, that you've set aside that you have not yet paid any income tax on. Now, this becomes very important because as our clients get older, and much like you become more and more concerned about how do I start spending these dollars? How do I protect these dollars? What is the plan going forward? One of the things I think to really begin to introduce this concept is if we show you a fictitious client, but it's clients much like what Lo and I work with every single day, and let's call them Mr. and Mrs. Jones, and maybe you're like Mr. and Mrs. Jones, or soon will be in this situation. Now, Mr. Jones is 70 years old. Mrs. Jones is just a little bit younger. Let's call her age 66. They have a large IRA and are concerned about their required minimum distributions. Now, what are required minimum distributions? Well, the way the tax law is written is the IRS allows us to set money aside in these very special qualified plans for really for the rest of our life. However, at age 70 and a half, because we've deferred taxes up to that point, you could certainly take monies out earlier, but this is the last date in which you no longer have the opportunity to continue to defer for infinity. This is, at age 70 and a half, the first date where you are required to start taking out what's called a required minimum distribution. Now, that's a set percentage every year, and it starts at age 70 and a half, and the older you get, the greater and greater that percentage is until the rest of your life. So it's real important for our clients, and it may be very important for you to understand, here's all these dollars we've set aside. What happens when we're forced, don't have a choice anymore, we have to start liquidating some of these dollars? What's involved? Well, the reason we use Mr. and Mrs. Jones is they're very much like most of the clients we work with. He's age 70, she's a little bit younger, age 66. They have this large IRA plan or qualified plan, and they're now very concerned about required minimum distributions. But ladies, pay particular attention to this. What is Mrs. Jones most concerned about? Well, Mrs. Jones is most concerned about what will be left for her after Mr. Jones is gone, after he passes on, after he dies. Because as Mr. Jones gets older, he's forced to take that greater and greater withdrawal on a percentage basis each and every year starting at age 70 and a half. So think about Mrs. Jones for a second, guys. In Mrs. Jones' situation, she's married to a man who's a couple years older, a few years older than she is. Ladies, God built you better than he did us. You tend to live longer than we do. Guys, we're probably not going to be here as long. Who's our number one concern for these dollars? You better be saying the lady next to you as you watch this. Guys, we need to plan for our ladies. We need to plan for our surviving spouses, or if we don't have a surviving spouse, we need to plan for that next generation or people or causes or concerns that we care about. Here's a great way that we'll show you the concept here in a second, where we can take our qualified dollars and pass those on to that surviving spouse. But here's a promise that we can make you, a promise that you cannot find anywhere else in the marketplace today. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, regardless of the size of your qualified plan, if you bring it over to our concept, we'll give you, first off, 100% protection on those dollars, where you can't lose dollars due to market fluctuation. So we've got principal protection, number one. Number two, regardless of market conditions. We know the markets can go up, and they can also what? They can also go down, okay? We're going to protect you from the down, but we're also going to put no cap on your upside, okay? But even regardless of market conditions, in our plan, the worst it can do is, let's say it just never grows, which is ridiculous, but let's just say it never grows. 0 is the worst that you could do. Even under this plan, regardless of market conditions, Mr. Jones, you can start taking your required minimum distribution starting at age 70 and a half, and that percentage goes up every year, every year, every year. Provided you bring it over here, take those RMDs starting at 70 and a half, and we can guarantee throughout your life expectancy, you will still have available at death at least your original deposit or more to immediately pass on to Mrs. Jones after you're gone. Sounds too good to be true? Folks, it's not. Let me show you how it works. Here's an example. We like the power of big numbers. We're going to show $1 million account. Move the decimal point to the left or to the right, whatever makes sense for you. If you have a $500,000 account, take the numbers and divide by 2. But let me put a bookmark here. This is the type of thing that we really encourage you to get a hold of Lo Paul, meet with Lo at the office, talk to him on the telephone, get some illustrations. This is the only illustratable product of its kind available in the marketplace today. It's a very simple concept, but one that requires a little bit of detail in the explanation. We are very proud to offer you these illustrations, something that's generated directly from the insurance company, directly from our offices. We sign off on it. It's approved by the carrier. It's something for you to take home and consider when making a move like this for safety, security, protection, and a death benefit that passes on your surviving spouse that, quite frankly, folks, you can't outlive this. It's always going to be here. Let's take an example. Here's our $1 million for Mr. Jones. Let's say Mr. Jones's life expectancy is through age 84. You know, I think we're being a little generous here. Some of us are going to live longer, some are going to die sooner. But folks, just on average, let's say a 70-year-old male today, according to the tables, age 82 is the life expectancy. Let's go a little bit longer, and let's say age 84. We've got, as part of this concept that really makes this sing, if you will, is this thing called the 4% death benefit roll-up. What that is a patented feature within our annuity product that's called the Family Endowment Rider. We are the only fixed annuity available in America today that has this feature. We patented it, and we're not making it available to anybody else. So this is your one place to find it. What that does is guarantees that your beneficiaries, regardless of market conditions, your beneficiaries will receive no less than 4% compounded annually on your original deposit minus anything you take out and spend along the way. Well, let's think about that. If we're Mr. Jones and we're age 70 and we put in $1 million of our IRA into this kind of account, we know we can't go backwards due to market fluctuation, can't lose a dime. In fact, the worst the account can perform at is at 0 because we can't lose any money. There's no cap on how much it could grow in the future. But let's just say with respect to 0 growth, let's just say worst case scenario, the account never grows. Here's a way, the promise I made to Mr. and Mrs. Jones is you put in $1 million, take your required minimum distribution starting at age 70 and a half and through your life expectancy. You're pulling those dollars out, so as we're eating those up and supposedly there's no growth, we're still going to show you, at least at death, we're always going to have at least that $1 million available immediately for Mrs. Jones' benefit after Mr. Jones is gone. Let me show you how those numbers work. This will self-populate and go through. There's Mr. Jones at age 70. We've got $1 million account. That FER over on the far right-hand side, that's just an abbreviation for the Family Endowment Rider. Remember, that's our death benefit on this account. It could be much more if the account grows, but remember this, we're going to show you the worst case scenario. And on our worst case scenario, I challenge you to find anything else that can guarantee what we can show. This is the only place. Look at it. It's kind of magic if you look. Look at these required minimum distributions that come out to the client. Folks, we don't have any choice. On this $1 million account, starting at age 70 and a half, we rounded up to age 71 here, that's $37,736 you're going to be required to pull out of this account. If you look out over time, it looks like those dollar amounts are staying pretty constant, but what's happening is we're spending down the account. Remember, we had zero growth on the account. This is worst case scenario. So we start with $1 million. If we take out $37,736, we're left in the account with $962,264. Because the account's not growing, and again, this is a little fictitious, but we're saying worst case scenario, the dollars are going down, down, down. Well, look what happens. After 15 years and looking out to our life expectancy of age 84, we put in $1 million in this account. We didn't have a choice, folks. We had to spend over $500,000. More than $507,000 was forced to come out of this program in the required minimum distributions at zero growth, worst case scenario, leaving us with $492,667. But look over here. As a death benefit, down these columns, we promised, regardless of market conditions, and the worst it could perform is at zero, we would always have at least $1 million in a death benefit available immediately to pass on to Mrs. Jones. I don't know about you folks, but at death, if we put in $1 million, say that it never grew, and thanks to our 4% guarantee on our death benefit, we still have $1 million, that's great, but let's look at the total overall benefit, the total benefit of ownership, if you will, of this program. Would it not be the $507,000 we already spent added together with the over $1 million immediately to death benefit? That's over $1.5 million. At the same time, we guaranteed zero growth, worst case scenario. Now, this product has no cap. There's no cap on the upside earnings potential. Work with low. Take a look. You get 3 different choices on how you want these dollars allocated. Zero is the worst that you can do, but we've got strategy C, strategy B, and strategy A. Strategy C is a more conservative, B is a more balanced, A is a little more aggressive. No matter what strategy you choose, zero is the worst that you can do, and on average, you're looking at 5.25% to 6.5% compounded annual growth on this account, historically, hypothetically, looking back for any 10 or 12-year holding period in the last 30 years. Folks, that's no promise that it's going to do that well. Historically, that's how it's done. But knowing that you have the safety, security, and peace of mind of knowing that zero is the worst that you can do, it's kind of a concept of you put in $100,000, spend put in $1 million, spend $500,000 and still have your $1 million. Well, that works anywhere along the way. Let's say Mr. Jones has the unfortunate experience of passing away at age 76. Well, we've spent at that point $224,000. We still have $775,000 in our accumulation value and over $1 million left in a death benefit to pass on. So the $224,000 added with the $1 million that's left, again, over $1.2 million in total benefit of ownership. Folks, I encourage you, call low. You need to see how this works. This is customizable. It's something that's not going to take a whole lot of time. It's a quick conversation. Look at some dollars and start with your qualified money. Start with your IRA. We really consider this the holy grail of IRA dollars. It's a way that you can eat your cake and have it too. We think that's real important. You know, if we think about this type of a strategy and think about our IRA really as a big birthday cake, if you will. It's a big cake. It's here. We've got this cake. We've set it aside for the rainy day. It's for retirement. But here comes age 70 and a half. We no longer have a choice to continue to defer at no taxes this account. Now, most of it still can, but the IRS is going to force us to slice off a little piece of that birthday cake every year. And guess what? On a percentage basis, every year that we live longer, we have another larger slice of the cake that we need to take off. Our clients have dubbed this the eat your cake and have it too, because we're going to consume the asset. We're going to start to spend those dollars. We're forced to. We're going to eat some of that cake. And at death, even in the worst case scenario, folks, we still have that entire birthday cake left over to pass on to the ones we love. And let's keep in mind, most of the time, that's our surviving spouse. That's powerful. We encourage you to see low about that.
Hi, it's Lo again. If you're like most people who watch this preview, you are probably curious about the IRA RMD resolution. Now that you have an understanding of the basic foundation, if you want to get serious about how the IRA resolution can benefit you, simply click on the link below this video and register for your personal IRA RMD Resolutions preview. By the way, if you want to share this video file with a friend or a family member, simply type in their name and email address below, and we will email a link directly to them. And for doing that, we'll give you a free copy of my newest book, the IRA RMD Resolutions.